When a hurricane hits or a pandemic lockdown is announced, the first instinct for thousands of people is exactly the same: get to the store. Within hours, the inventory of critical everyday essentials vanishes. Parents looking for infant formula are met with bare shelves and strictly enforced limits per customer. It's in this exact window of desperation that a highly controversial pricing strategy appears. Sellers will mark up the cost of basic survival goods to an unfair or unreasonable level, far beyond the usual market rate. This is price gouging. Paying triple for basic hydration creates an immediate emotional and physical toll. You see it in the physical strain of a young boy struggling to carry overpriced, heavy packs of hoarded bottled water back to his family. To protect citizens from being exploited during these moments, countries like India and China have strictly outlawed the practice. Yet in certain European nations, it remains legally permitted. That stark contrast in global law highlights a deeper conflict. The argument over crisis pricing is a fierce, irreconcilable debate between the cold mechanics of economic efficiency and the basic principles of human ethics. To a pure economist, looking past the emotional outrage reveals a mechanical problem. They argue that allowing costs to rise during a disaster is actually the most efficient way to manage rapidly depleting resources. This chart shows how a sudden price hike affects inventory. As supply rapidly drops, a sudden steep increase in cost, this red price wall, immediately halts the downward trend. It forces shoppers to buy only what they absolutely need, naturally restricting waste and panic buying. And the effects begin long before a disaster even strikes. The promise of high crisis-level profits motivates companies to proactively fill their reserve silos, saving and storing essential goods specifically for future emergencies. Once the disaster hits, those massive profit margins act as a powerful magnet. External suppliers are incentivized to rush new, much-needed shipments directly into the affected market to capture the premium, drastically increasing overall inventory. Strictly on paper, the economics function as a brutal but highly effective self-correcting machine designed to guarantee that products remain available. But mathematical models assume all buyers are equal. When you strip away the charts and examine real-world vulnerability, the economic defense starts to fracture. Everyone requires basic items to survive, regardless of their wealth. Allowing prices to skyrocket means essential, life-saving goods are allocated exclusively to high-income earners, leaving the poor to suffer the immediate consequences of the disaster. This environment also creates a lucrative opening for bad actors. They buy up subsidized essentials at normal rates and illegally resell them to desperate, ordinary buyers at painful markups, inflicting severe financial strain. Then there is the psychological damage to the community itself. Extremely high prices trigger a selfish survival-of-the-fittest mentality, destroying the natural social connection and mutual aid that people rely on during emergencies. Furthermore, the idea that high prices encourage proactive stockpiling fails against the reality of disaster. Real-world crises are highly unpredictable. A company cannot proactively store the right items because specific emergency needs are often impossible to forecast. During the sudden onset of COVID-19, the global population required specific protective gear. There was absolutely no way for the market to predict or stockpile for a sudden, universal requirement for surgical masks. When economic efficiency encounters the chaos of a human disaster and the reality of wealth inequality, the theoretical models collapse. This leaves any governing body facing an unsolvable paradox during an emergency. There is no perfect legislation, only devastating trade-offs. Strictly banning price hikes removes the incentive for new supply to enter the area. The result is rapid hoarding by the first people to reach the store, leading to total systemic resource depletion for everyone else. Conversely, allowing the free market to dictate crisis prices creates a tiered society where the right to survive is determined strictly by personal wealth. The controversy of crisis pricing ultimately forces a society to make a definitive choice: trust the invisible hand of the market to rescue us, or prioritize a strict moral duty to protect the most vulnerable.